everybody. I'm Alex,
I'm Derek.
and welcome to the Cruisers Podcast. Derek, how you been?
Oh man, what a great week! Really hard to believe we are already back here and getting to catch up on cruising. It's been a busy week though, Alex. Getting ready to cruise in July, and we have been busy really trying to get together our excursions in Rome, Italy, and in Athens, Greece. And so we've spent some money this week. I mean, I don't want to check the card. We've used the card, pay it all off. But I know you've been busy too. How's your week going?
Oh man, really busy as well. I'm a little overwhelmed. I just got back from Idaho this past weekend, Alaska the week before that. I was on the Carnival Jubilee 2 weeks before that, and now next week I'm going back to Alaska. I'm taking my one of my really good friends, Jennifer, with me. She's actually never been on a cruise before, and I said, "Hey, Derek got me a really good deal on Alaska, so how about you come with me and hang out?" So I'm super excited. I pretty much have been living out of my suitcase for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I can't wait to
That's
get back out.
unbelievable.
I know it's someone's got to do it though, right?
Yeah, someone, I mean, you're hitting the pavement, you're hitting the skies, you're hitting the seas. And
Yeah.
it's kind of neat when you have back to back trips booked like that. You get home, you take a breath, you have your suitcase, you unzip it, you flop it open, you pick up everything, put it in the washer, put it in the dryer, and put it back in.
Yep. Well, and I'm going from like extreme climates too. So I was in the Caribbean
Yep.
and now I'm back up to Alaska. And so, yeah, it's like I have my cold weather suitcase and I've got my warm weather suitcase. I've got sand in one and pine tree needles in the other one. It's just like two extremes. And man, that's what cruising's all about. There's just so many different types of cruises you can go on. So
It is.
I can't wait. And if you're listening on YouTube, on Facebook or on Spotify, we're trying to get on Apple still. Um, Let us know, especially Facebook and YouTube. Let us know. Do you have any vacations coming up? What kind of vacations do you guys like to do in the summertime? And yeah, what do you have going on?
That's right. That's right. It's neat because traveling and cruising is subjective, and people like different things. You may like the mountains. You may like to still see the snow. Cruising to Alaska, and that's just fine. You might like the sand, the other white powdery stuff. But cruising is for everyone. And Alex and I, we thought about this last week. We set sail, right? We set sail on this new adventure, this podcast. We talked about why are we doing this. We talked about our travel experiences. And now, episode 2, we're talking about, okay, we've set sail. Now, where are we going? There are so many places to go, is there not, Alex?
Oh, I mean, there's a ton. I've got all the lists of all the different ports in just the Caribbean alone, and there's so many. So if you're a warm weather person, let's go on a cruise to the Caribbean. If you want to go to Alaska, like Derek said, you can go out of Alaska. If you want to go to Europe, Derek, you're about to do that. You're taking the family to Europe this summer. So I mean, there's a place for everybody. So those people that tell me cruising isn't for me, it is. I really want to sit down with them and figure out why. Is it because you don't like the ocean? Because then that would
Yep.
make sense. But there is a place for everyone, and so we want to hear from you. Just let us know in the comment section below. Your favorite cruise, and if you're a little bit scared to cruise, let us know why.
That's right. And it is a real fear. Some people, they have friends and family who say, I'm not a cruiser or I'm hesitant about cruising. And those of us who love cruising, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, are you crazy? Just get on the
Yeah.
ship. But it is a legit fear. And so it takes sometimes some talking up, some encouragement, and some setting the reality a little bit for people to be comfortable to cruise. And that's kind of what we're doing here today, really, is we are setting sail. And Alex hit on really the 3 big destinations, although really you can travel and cruise anywhere you want to in the world. You can get there by cruise ship. But we're going
Hmm.
to talk about Alaska, number 1. Alex has been there many times, and as often as just a couple of weeks ago, and as soon as next week. We're going to talk about the Caribbean, which this time of year, those are the 2 big markets, right? And
Yep.
we're going to talk about Europe. So let's start. Since you are going to Alaska, like within hours, let's talk about Alaskan cruising. Cruising. And Alex, I'll ask a couple questions here, and you share your experiences. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Couple things about Alaska. When people think of cruising, I would say half of people think about the Caribbean. Half of the people say, man, I've never cruised. I want to go to Alaska. I've always heard it's beautiful. Is it really that cold? Am I going to be able to go outside? If I can't get in the pool, what is there to do? I mean, all these questions come up about Alaska, and people want to go, but they're afraid to pull that trigger and book Alaska. So, Alex, set us straight on some of these questions and share some of your experiences. Is Alaska worth a destination that you, I, and all of us watching and listening should consider?
100%. And especially to those of you that have never cruised before and you are thinking, I think if I cruise, I'm only going to be able to cruise once. I would say go to Alaska because 9 times out of 10, you can drive to a beach close to your house, but you can't really get
Mm,
to Alaska unless you fly or get on a cruise ship. And a lot of times I get questions on my Facebook page, when is the best time to cruise? Just in general. And really,
yeah,
it's up to you. But for Alaska, Alaska does have a peak season and they have an off season. The best time to go to Alaska is going to be, they typically will start having earlier sailings at the end of April, and they're going to cruise all the way until potentially, I believe, mid-October. So a pretty good
yep,
chunk of the
exactly
year.
right.
But Alaska is typically one of the more expensive cruises to go on. So if you want to go to Alaska and get the best deal, you're going to want to go in kind of the non-peak season. So pretty much during the school year. Um,
Yeah,
but the cool thing about Alaska is the weather changes so much. You really don't even know what to pack until the week before. I've got people in cruise
mm,
groups that are packing, oh, I've started packing and they're not leaving for another month. And it's like, you better wait because Alaska changes so much and you need to know what to pack for your trip. So really, it's so worth it. If I were you,
yeah.
I would stop watching the podcast and go book your Alaskan cruise. I mean, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been, and I've been blessed to go all over the world, and I can't wait to get back there next week.
I love it. I love it. There's a couple things that I hear year after year that may help some people who are watching and listening to this. People do ask, when is the best time to cruise to Alaska? And it really depends on what do you want to see. Earlier in the season, like April and May, it is going to be a little bit colder, but that has benefits because some people say, well, I don't want to be cold. It has benefits. I
Mm-hmm.
know that, especially anything living in water this time of year, it's mating season for whales and things like that. So if you want to see those orcas, in wildlife in the water, you're going to see it. They're going to surface more, is what we always hear. And cruise lines do a great job of having those wilderness experts
Mm-hmm.
and site spotters on board to help you out with that. And so you might want to go early. June and July, as Alex said, that price is going to be elevated. School is out. It has warmed up a little bit. It is peak season. And then towards the end of the season, and Alex, I'm going to have you speak to this and your experience in just a little bit. We get people who call and want us to book their cruise, and they want to see the Northern Lights, which are never a guarantee. The best time to see them is at the end of the season, actually, looking at August, September, and October. That's the best chance to see them. And some people, they book to see that. But Alex, you had a rare experience. It hardly ever happens this early in the year, just a couple of weeks ago. Tell us what you saw in your experience.
Oh, it was by far the biggest pinch me moment of my life. Just like you said, Derek, people dream of seeing the Northern Lights, and there is a
Yeah,
specific window of opportunity where you can go and see those Northern Lights, but it really depends on the weather too. Alaska is known for
it
being
does.
pretty moody, and so if the clouds are out, you have a pretty good chance of not seeing those Northern Lights. But yeah, I was just on the Carnival Luminosa week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and people started posting in the cruise group about this big, phenomenon that's happening. And it was an
Yeah.
opportunity. It was, let me think. It was I forgot what they call the specific scientific term, but there's an app where you can go on and kind of see what your chances are. And it was bright red. I mean, we're going to see those Northern Lights tonight. And I remember coming back from one of the shows, and the cruise director Tyler actually messaged me on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, go outside on your balcony, get your content. The northern lights are out." And I walked outside. We had that aft-facing balcony, my sister and I, and it was the coolest thing. I mean, I it took me a while to even get my phone out just because I wanted to take it all in. I had chills from head to toe. The northern lights were screaming. Mother Nature was taking care of us that night. It was the coolest experience ever when it comes to cruising.
That is crazy, and for you to see it that early, I remember that experience and like you said, the phenomenon. I don't know what it was called either, but those living even in the South, we were out of town actually. We were in your neck of the woods, Dallas, Texas,
Oh yeah.
but our friends and family in Central Arkansas could see them that same time that you were seeing them, and that's just crazy. But that's something that cruising does, and the experience that it provides. It's really neat. I got a couple more questions for you, Alex, about Alaska. Okay,
Sure.
when I think cruising, I think of warm sun. I think of the pools on Lido deck. I think of cold drinks. I think of line dances and deck parties and all kinds of stuff. And then when I think of Alaskan cruising, some of those things shut down in my mind. Like the sun is not going to be there. The pool is there, but not being used.
Right.
What is it like to cruise in Alaska? What is there to do? Are you going to get bored? What do you do when you're not off the ship? Because uh, those Alaskan itineraries are port intensive, right? Most days you're in port, but what is there to do on board?
Well, you better pack your crossword puzzle and your word search. You better pack your binoculars. Um, now,
Yeah.
that's definitely a joke. But earlier you mentioned that they do have a naturalist on board. And when I was in Alaska recently, Emily was her name, and she would always get on if she saw some type of wildlife, whether it be a pack of eagles or some whales breaching or something like that. She'd get on the intercom and say, "Hey, this is Emily from the navigational bridge. Off to our port side, at 11 o'clock." And they do give updates up into the early evening. So if something's going on, she's definitely going to tell you. So I would, number one, if you want to know what to pack for Alaska, bring your binoculars, because you can hang out on the open decks and you could just take in all of the scenery. You will
That's
not look
cool.
like a weirdo with your binoculars in Alaska. I'll tell you that. And you're right. When you think of Caribbean cruising, you think of jumping in that pool and just having a great
Yeah.
time. But in Alaska, they still have the pools. I know on the Carnival Spirit on the Serenity deck, the pool was heated, so it was just one giant hot tub. But
Yeah.
this is such an opportunity to just relax, really relax. It is not a big party vibe. It's going to be a little bit of an older crowd on any cruise line you go on, which that's my
Yeah.
kind of vibe. I don't like to stay up super late and party and dance all night because I would make myself look like a fool. But Alaska is absolutely a different vibe from the Caribbean, and it's my kind of vibe. And you're right, they are very, very busy in the ports, and they're typically on the cruises I've been on very early port days, like every single day, 7 a.m. And so you're going to want to go to bed early and get some sleep, because these are not beach days. These are
Yeah.
going to be hiking and taking in the scenery and very, very active. So make sure you bring your hiking boots and dress in layers, because you never know what Alaska is going to give you when it comes to weather.
That's awesome advice. Let me ask you about this too. We've had several people who we've helped book Alaska, and they ask about cheers. They ask about the drink package for whatever cruise line that you're going on. Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Princess, Norwegian. They all do a really good job out of Alaska. Holland America is actually one of the older cruise lines that cruise there. Again, you're going to have a really old crowd there, but these
Yeah.
cruise lines do a great job. They do. One thing that can offset the cost, because Alaska is a little bit more expensive, is a lot of people say that they don't buy that alcoholic package for the reason you said. You're in port at 6 and 7 a.m. You want to see these sites, so you go to bed at 10, max 11. And so, not that you're not drinking, but you're not drinking your 15 per day like you do in the Caribbean. So some people say, yes, the cruise is more expensive, but you might be able to save $600 or $700 because you're not buying the
Absolutely.
Cheers package. Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at my itinerary for the Carnival Luminosa. It's 7 nights. Our first day is actually of the whole 7 night cruise, we really only have one full sea day, and that's going to be your second day, getting from
Yeah.
Seattle up into the Alaska area, and then yeah, I mean, it's Skagway 7 a.m., Juneau 7 a.m., Ketchikan 7 a.m. And then one of my favorite ports actually is the last night we go to Victoria in Canada
Yep.
from 8 p.m. to
Got to get the
12
international
a.m.
stop, right?
Yes.
Got to
And
get
a
the
lot of
international stop.
people, I was so surprised. I figured it's the night before we're coming back into Seattle. People are packing and everything. I was like, who's going to get off the ship at 8 p.m.? Derek, I didn't even tell you this, but we went down to the I think it was deck two where you get off, and we had to wait
Yeah.
in line for about 15 minutes to get off of the ship. There were probably 300 or 400 people in line to get off the ship.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy. It was Victoria is beautiful. If you're too tired to get off the ship, drink a energy drink because it is incredible. My sister and I we walked into town. It was probably about a 30-minute walk. We didn't take an Uber. We just walked and we went to
Yeah.
an Irish pub. Had a few drinks and some great food. And about 30 minutes after hanging out inside of this pub, the cruise ship singers and dancers came in, and my sister's like, "Hey, I think those are the dancers from the ship." And then we could see like
Wow.
the band come in, and it just felt like we didn't talk to them, we didn't hang out with them, but it just felt
Yeah.
it was just a really cool thing to just see them in their element and hanging out and just having a great time. So yeah, very very busy port days.
That is so cool. Let's play a quick game as we wrap up Alaska. Alex, I'm going to spout off some different things, chances to see different things, and you're going to give me a score from 1 to 10. 1 being there's really no chance you're going to see or do that. 10 being yes, definitely you're going to see and or do that. Okay, you ready?
Let's do it. Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. What are the chances that you see snow-capped mountains when you're sailing to Alaska?
12 out of 10.
I love it. I love it. What are the chances that you see an orca, a killer whale, when sailing to Alaska?
I would say 7 out of 10.
Part of that may be effort, right? How much effort
Yes.
are you putting into, to see
And
it?
and it's really, luck too.
Yeah. Yep. Um, what are the chances when I think Alaska, I think of bald eagles? What are the chances you see a bald eagle?
Oh, 10 out of 10. I thought for me, I got the
Wow.
coolest video when we were in Juneau. Oh my gosh, we took this tram up the mountain a little bit, and I had a bird's eye view of a bald eagle flying into the tree into its nest, and it was the coolest thing.
Wow. I've always heard their wingspans, if you can see them close, are like so much bigger than what you think that they
Inti-
are.
it's intimidating. You're like, that's a pterodactyl. You're like, that's a dinosaur. It's so big.
Gosh, I love it. I love it. Alaska sounds fun. Alex, you are going to be there next week. I know you're going to share all kinds of content. Why don't you remind everyone how they can see this content, your experiences? How can we lock in and see it?
Definitely. The best place to follow me is going to be on Facebook, just under Alex Roberson, Roberson. And you could always find me on Instagram and TikTok under Alex the Cruiser.
I love it. I love it. Alaska, pretty cool. If you're listening, watching, you have thoughts on Alaska. If you're sitting there saying, yes, yes, everything that they are saying is spot on, share your experiences below in the comment section below. Make sure you share that. If you have questions on Alaska, we're going to make an extra effort to make sure that your question gets answered. So take a few seconds, put your question down there, and we will be sure to answer that question. Alaska, it's going to be so much fun, Alex. I can't wait to see your content from there. It's going to be cool.
Yes, sir. Can't wait.
Let's jump number 2, our second region that we're talking about when we talk about, let's set sail. Where are we going? And it's a place that's familiar to you and I. I can almost close my eyes and hear those steel drums in the Caribbean and feel the Caribbean sun. My hand is starting to get cold from the drink that's in my hand. I can hear the
Yes.
waves, right?
Yes.
Alex, You have cruised the Caribbean so many times. What keeps you going back time after time after time?
Oh, I number one, living in Texas, it's hot all the time, and I like to get away. The Caribbean is still hot and humid, but there's nothing better than getting a sunburn in Cozumel, Mexico, drinking my favorite beer, just being around all the people that are dancing and having fun. It is such a different vibe than Alaska. But what keeps me really going back are the ships. You know, a lot of times for Alaska, they'll send kind of the older ships to Alaska. If you want to experience a new cruise ship, going to a beautiful destination, they always send their new ships to the Caribbean. So that's kind of a plus
Yeah.
right there is, you know, I just got back from the Jubilee a couple of weeks ago. Derek, you've been on the Jubilee like half a dozen times now. And they always send the nice, brand new, big ships to the Caribbean because they can fit a lot more people on there.
That's right. That's right. The Caribbean is the most popular place to cruise to in the world. And you may be watching this and you're looking to book your first cruise, or maybe you've booked it, you're waiting for your first cruise. It is probably to the Caribbean. And you're probably nervous because there are so many ports of call in the Caribbean. There's the Southern Caribbean, which I love, the Eastern Caribbean, the Virgin
Hmm.
Islands, the Western Caribbean. There's so many different places and so much to see. But it really is kind of the starter place, right? Whenever we look at cruising and going on our first few cruises, a lot of people go to the Caribbean, but people that have cruised 20, 30 plus times, like Alex and I, we keep going back to the Caribbean. And it is a different vibe. One thing I love about it is uh, when you're on board and these ships that are built, like Alex said, they build these ships a lot of times for certain markets. And these largest ships in the world, the Icon of the Seas, for instance, it is built for the Caribbean. Yes, it's hot, but uh, what Royal Caribbean has done, what Carnival has done with the XL class is to make sure that you have ways that you can be outside, you can enjoy the sun, you can stay cool, you have something to eat while you're outside. There are bars outside so that you can have something to drink, you can stay hydrated. Cruise lines do a great job. You can get in the pool. There's water parks now on all these ships. The water parks on some of these ships is crazy. Alex, let me ask you this: do you enjoy either getting into the pool or going on these water slides? Most ships have two or three. The Icon has six water slides
Crazy.
on board. Do you take part in that?
I do. Not as much as I used to as a kid, but I had an opportunity to cruise with my 7-year-old niece and my 14-year-old brother last summer, and it was their first time to cruise. And I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time near the pools and just watching them live their best life. I mean, they
Yeah,
were both crying at the end of every day. With like, we had to pull them away from these slides. It's like, hey, we got to get ready for dinner, and they're like, no, I want to go one more time. You're right, Derek. They cater, they know how to cater to the right people, and you forget
they
you're on a
do.
cruise ship sometimes. These ships are so big and
Yeah,
beautiful now.
yeah.
It's like you're inside of a luxury hotel. You can't even feel it half the time. And you're right. You can go putt putt, you ride a roller coaster, you can go to the water parks. There's so much to do on these new ships.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I found pretty cool. We spent some of our show last week talking about there's something for everyone when you cruise. And if you are the adventure type of person or someone that's always got to be on the move, you have that in the Caribbean. You have ships that you can ride that roller coaster, that you can ride the water slides, you can play putt putt, you can be at the pool and they play games by the pool. But there's also spaces where if you just want to chill and relax and enjoy that Caribbean sun, to pull up that favorite playlist, to read the book that you're working on, they have places like that too. What Carnival and Royal have done with Serenity and Royal Caribbean's
Oh
adults
yeah.
only areas, it's pretty special. It really is that you can lay out there, you can relax. And when you talk about listening to music or reading a book, I'm more of the music type. I like putting on my playlist. I like enjoying, for some reason, music really relaxes me. And so, but it's neat to look around and to people watch about what are people doing. And sometimes you look at somebody and they're taking a nap, right?
Yep.
And you get worried, right? You're like, okay, it's been like 90 minutes now, and you are straight up in the sun. Like, should I be a good fellow cruiser and wake you up, or should I just
Yep.
let you lay there because you're
Yep.
sleeping the world away?
The people that get me are when you first get on the ship, like your first day, you go to your muster station, your room's not even ready yet, and you kind of go look around the ship and kind of familiarize yourself with it. There are people already laying
Yeah,
down, and I'm like, you're gonna regret that. Come
yeah,
tomorrow, maybe even the next day. Like I said on the last episode, do not burn yourself before you make it to the actual destination because that sun is a lot hotter in Mexico.
it is. It hits different. It's a different angle, literally, and it's great advice. You mentioned it last week, but be sure you are putting that sunscreen on because you do not want on day 3 of a 7-day cruise that someone can't even touch you
Oof,
because you are burnt so bad. Apply, apply, and reapply, especially the further south you go. Aruba, and
yeah.
Curacao, places like that, you're really close to the equator.
I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but spring break of 2006, my parents took me on a cruise and I got so sunburned, just like you were talking about. You could feel the heat radiating off of my body without even touching me.
Oh,
And we had a nice beach day, and you try to get all the sand off of your shoes and off your clothes, but my bed got a little bit of sand in it, and I put the covers on to go to bed at night, and that sand was like
oh,
sandpaper on my sunburn. Guys, wear sunscreen so you do not. Oh my gosh, it makes
that's
me
right.
cringe just thinking about the pain I was in. Ah, but you learn from your mistakes.
You do, you do. The Caribbean is a great option, and it's a place that you and I both like to go time and time again. I have a couple of favorite places really I like to go, and I'll share it with you. Sometimes ports of call does play into pricing
Hmm.
whenever you're looking at where you want to go, whether it's Western Caribbean, Eastern, Southern. But there's some places I really like to go, and I'll share mine. And Alex, you may have some favorite places too. I love the Virgin Islands. St. Thomas, St. Martin are both unbelievable. Some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Maho Beach at St. Martin, where the airplanes fly right over
Oh,
you. You're on a 5-star beach, and these airplanes come over you. St. Thomas and Megan's Bay Beach is beautiful. And then Aruba, Eagle Beach, is one of my favorites as well. And those are eastern and southern. Not to knock on Western Caribbean, of course, Cozumel is the big port of call there. But Alex, you've
hmm.
cruised the Caribbean so much too. What are some of your favorite places?
Well, I'm a little jealous. I have not done any of the Virgin Islands. That is one of
Mm,
my dream cruises. I know I'm gonna have to go out of Florida for that, and so
you do, you do.
it's just so easy for me to go drive 5.5 hours to Galveston and go to honestly one of my favorite stops is Cozumel. There's
I
so much
thought
to
you'd say
do.
that.
Man, I'm just it is, and it's not an overrated port. There's something to do for everybody. I have been
Yep,
to Mr. Sancho's, which is kind of the party vibe, which is not my vibe, as you know. I'm
yep,
more with the old people. I like to go to the more private beaches. I've been to Nachikokum. I've spent a day at the Occidental Resort. I've spent the day at a couple of other
yeah,
resorts, and I am a resort kind of guy. I'm going to get off the ship. I'm going to
yep.
hop in a cab, and I'm going to say, take me to the resort, and I'm just going to be a beach bum all day long. That's all I want to do. And
Nothing
yeah,
wrong with
I'm going to enjoy the all inclusive resort type drinks and stuff. And Derek, I'll put you on the spot. What's your favorite fruity drink, and then your favorite beer or cocktail whenever
it.
you're on the beach?
Man, it's hard to go against when you talk about fruity and a frozen drink, just a pina colada. I mean,
Oh
that is
yeah.
for me. I love just a cold pina colada. And then as far as beer on a cruise, especially like in Cozumel, Dos Equis is where
Yeah.
it's at. And my favorite place to get it is at Paradise Beach. If you're on the beach and it's all inclusive, they will bring you a bucket of an ice and a 40-ounce Dos Equis beer.
Nice.
They say, here you go. Yep.
For me, for a fruity drink, I am all about a Miami Vice, which is half pina colada, half strawberry daiquiri. Um, my favorite. My favorite beer on the beach. What is it called? Tecate. That
Mm-hmm.
that cheap beer, man. Fill me up with that. Give me a bucket of that beer. And I cut you off. I'm sorry. I didn't even ask you what your favorite cocktail was. Mine's gonna be Crown and Coke is my favorite.
Oh man, I like Crown and Coke too. Which you can't have on Carnival, right? It's Crown and Pepsi.
Well, you know what? I was able to have a Crown and Pepsi, yeah, on the Jubilee because the last couple ships I went on, they didn't have Crown. Did they? I guess did they bring it back or?
Yes, yes, it is. It's back now,
Okay,
but it is Pepsi. But you can bring,
yeah,
of course, your own Cokes if you want to. Your 12 pack.
yeah. Do you
Yeah,
guys are you guys soda drinkers? Do you bring your own sodas on?
we used to, but we don't anymore. We because we buy Cheers most of the
Yeah.
time, and so we can get a Dr Pepper or whatever we want there. What about
Ooh,
you?
you know, I when I'm cruising, I do love a soda, and you know what I love about the XL class ships is they have the fountain drinks. Oh, I think
Yes,
that's probably in my opinion, the biggest game changer when it comes to like what Carnival has done. Some people love the non-smoking casinos. I'm all about bring me the fountain drink machine. It's so convenient. You know,
that's
you don't
right.
have to go to the bar
Convenient. You
and
don't
wait
have
in
to order it.
line. Yeah, yeah, it's so nice. So nice.
That's right. That's right. Well, the Caribbean offers something for everyone, and I would venture to say that many of you who are watching and listening to this, you have been there so many times. You've got stories upon stories that you could tell. You've got places and beaches and bars and resorts that you swear by. We are a community here. We share the secrets sometimes, or maybe a couple we hold close and we don't share. But I want everyone to take a second, share below where you like to go in the Caribbean. Where is your go to place at whatever port of call that you enjoy? Share it with us. And I bet there are other people who say, oh, yeah, I've been there 100%. I can't
Yeah,
wait to see some of those answers.
yeah, and definitely when you're commenting on Facebook, share a picture too. I want to see like what's your favorite point of view when you think of a vacation and you're sitting in your lounge
Mm,
chair at the beach or on Lido deck. Send us a point of view picture. I live for those point of view pictures. I love living vicariously through other people too. So people always think Alex, are you always on a cruise? No, I'm not. I like to post content from my previous cruises, but do you get that question too, Derek? Like, are you always on a cruise?
oh, all the time. Yeah, you'll post a picture and someone think it's you taking the picture, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's we have an awesome community that shares with us, and there are days, Alex, I know it's true for you too, where I need someone to send me that picture that
Oh,
hey, I'm in Mahogany Bay today. Look at what I get to see, and that's like okay, yep, I'm getting up, I'm going to work, I'm going to earn that
yep,
money so I can book that cruise, and I can go. So we
yep,
appreciate whenever you share that content with us. If you capture those moments, the perfect a 10-20 second video, the perfect picture, feel free to share it with Alex and I. Again, on Facebook, send us a message, say, hey, I shot this. If you want to share it sometime, you can. And we'll share it and we'll give you credit. We'll say, hey,
yeah,
John Smith shared this picture and he's in Aruba today. So always share that content because if you took a picture and you look at it and you think, man, that's pretty cool, other people are going to think the exact same thing. So share it with us for sure.
absolutely.
Let's talk.
Derek,
Let's talk this third leg. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
I'm gonna put you on the spot now because
Yep.
we're gonna talk about a place that is on my bucket list. Cruising,
Mm,
cruising out of Europe. Um, Now,
yeah.
my first question for you is going to be: have you only cruised out of Europe, or have you cruised to Europe?
I've only cruised out of Europe. Yeah,
Okay.
I wish I would have taken a transatlantic to Europe, but we've done a transatlantic from Barcelona, Spain, which Barcelona is unbelievable. We absolutely love Barcelona, but we did go from Barcelona to New York City and
Oh,
enjoyed it. Amanda and I have traveled extensively in Europe the last probably decade. I think we've been to Italy. I know 6 times, maybe up to 8 times, and we're heading back. But we're headed back to Europe. And Europe is an interesting place to travel to. We've talked about Alaska and the scenery that is there, the last frontier type of thing. We've talked about the Caribbean and the relaxed vibe and what it has to offer of just relaxing in some of the world's most beautiful beaches. But Europe is different. And Alex, like you said, it's a bucket list for you, and it is for so many others. They want to travel to Europe, but they don't know how. They don't know where do you start to travel to Europe. How do you go to Europe? Where do you go? What country do you go to? Do you go several days before? Which ports are safe? Like they just don't know what to do in Europe. And so this is where it's especially helpful. First off, do your research, right? Uh,
Right.
Social media and YouTube, and Alex, you probably share some about this too. You can go on a cruise now and kind of know what to expect, what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the times there a lot of the reasons why people don't go to Europe is because, oh man, I gotta pay to fly my family of four there. But you would think that cruising out of Europe is so expensive, but it's yes it is a little bit more than the Caribbean, than Alaska, but it's not that bad, right?
Yeah, that's one thing to point out is we have cruised out of Europe several times. We are headed there this July to sail on the Sun Princess from Rome, Italy to Athens, Greece. And when you look at, we book a lot of cruises for people out of Europe too. A lot of people want to cruise out of Europe or cruise to Europe, and they think that it has this large price tag that it's going to cost $10,000. And that is not the case. Pricing oftentimes is the exact same as the Caribbean or a little bit less than the Caribbean. Now, you do have to purchase airfare, so that can get you a little bit. But it's neat for those who have cruised 10 times, 15 times to the Caribbean and they enjoy it, but they're looking for something different. They know there's a different experience out there. And that's where Europe comes in. Europe is you're not going to get the beautiful beaches per se. It's not the relaxed vibe. It's the culture that you're going to visit. It's the civilizations that you're going to visit. It's the history that you're going to visit. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to see. Now, years ago, there were only a handful of airlines that you could fly, and it was difficult to find a cheap flight. If you want to fly Delta, you want to fly American, you want to fly United, you're still going to pay an elevated price. I can tell you that right now. But if you're open to some lower cost or international airline companies, you're going to save some money. For instance, last year we flew to Barcelona, Spain to cruise on the Carnival Venezia transatlantic, and we found pricing for $406 per person,
Oh my
which
gosh.
is insane.
Wow.
$406. Now, the company, Alex, we could stay here all night and you could try to guess the company we flew with, and you're not going to answer. You're not going to know it. SAS, Scandinavian Air Services, Scandinavian Airlines.
Hey, it
Yeah,
got you there, right?
I saw I saw that and I was like, "Is this a real airline? Is this plane going to crash?" But like you said, they got us there. They have a safe record. You don't turn on the news and see that a SAS plane
Right.
has crashed, right? They are in business for a reason. And actually, it turned out to be an unbelievable flight. The service was exceptional. The legroom between seats, it was actually a premier airline, but I had no clue, right? I took the leap of faith. We flew from Chicago to Barcelona, and everything was just fine. So sometimes it takes you to be a little bit adventurous, to think outside the box, to not always know everything. I'm comfortable on Delta, I'm comfortable on American. I've never heard of SAS. Get outside your comfort zone and pay that extra money. Again, $406 per person was our ticket. But then we got a 15-day cruise from Barcelona to New York City. We got to stop by so many different places to see Europe, to see the culture, the people. And it's different. You see a different culture in the Caribbean, it's totally different when you go to Europe. The language, the currency, the culture, what they eat, all of it is completely different. There's so many places to go in Europe, honestly, and we've been to many of them. I absolutely love Italy, but I'm interested, Alex, to see maybe where you want to go.
Well, I've got a couple questions, couple follow-ups too, but I would say one of my dream destinations would be, I sure would love to cruise to Iceland. I actually have a couple of
Oh
offers right
yeah,
now. I don't even know where it sails out of, maybe Southampton, but it stops in Belfast, which I have a ton of my family in Belfast, Ireland. And I've been there a couple of
wow.
times, but to cruise there and get to experience it as a cruiser would be so great, and to get to catch up with family. But I would love to go to Iceland. Oh man, I have a friend on the Norwegian Prima right now. She actually
Yeah,
is cruising through Norway, through Iceland, and her pictures are like postcards perfect. I mean, it's
they're beautiful.
stunning. But I've got a question for you. So with Alaska, it's pretty seasonal. Caribbean, you can go to the Caribbean 365 days of the year, and the weather's going to be pretty much the same. What about Europe? I mean, is it kind of a seasonal operation as well?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it is really the season kind of follows the Alaskan season. Really, it has already started up. It started up maybe in March or early April. You're starting to see more cruise ships do their repositioning to Europe. But one thing great about Europe, one thing that I love, and I'm going to continue to try some different things, is once you fly to Europe, you decide where you want to go, and like you said, you can go Western Europe to Greenland, to Ireland, to Great Britain and all the islands around Great Britain, to Italy, to Greece, and even further east. But one thing that I love about it is if you are a Royal Caribbean cruiser, or if you are a Carnival cruiser, or you love Norwegian, those brands have ships in Europe. And the season has started. They will be there throughout the summer. And then early fall, a lot of times the cruising slows down. There are some cruise lines that operate almost year round, but there's some colder weather in Europe as well. So it is kind of seasonal. But one thing I love, again, is that you can choose your favorite cruise line that you've cruised to Alaska with, that you cruise to the Caribbean with. I like that part of it, but I also like that you can choose a completely different cruise line.
That's right.
And some of your favorite cruise brands, like Carnival Corporation, owns several different cruise lines, and so you could sell kind of the same company, just a different brand. And so, like P&O is owned by Carnival Corporation. They have XL class ships like the Mardi Gras and Celebration and Jubilee, but it's just a different cruise line. So I like it. I like it for cruisers that have cruised time after time again, and you're looking for a different experience. You want to see the culture, pay the same cruise price as the Caribbean. I told Alex this, just earlier before we came on air. We paid $4,000 for our cruise on the Sun Princess, a brand new ship, like on her sixth cruise. $4,000 for a week, and this is
Mm,
in mid-July. If I were to take my family to four out of Florida on a Carnival ship, on a Royal ship, I'm paying $4,000. I'm paying the exact same.
yep.
And I could go see the Caribbean, or I could go see Rome, Italy. I could go see Naples. I could go see Santorini. I could go to different places in Greece, Istanbul, Turkey. And so it really becomes, can I afford the extra airline ticket? And again, we're not buying the drink package here because it's a 7 day cruise with 6 stops. That
Right.
almost pays for your airline ticket. And then it comes to, I need someone that knows Europe. I need someone I can talk to. I want to book a safe hotel in a safe part of town. I need transportation from airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the cruise terminal, because sometimes those cruise terminals are way outside the city, an hour away. That's what holds people up. And Alex and I are here to tell you, do not let that hold you up. If there is something that you want to do when it comes to cruising, this is the Cruisers Podcast. You share what your hurdles are, and Alex and I will do our best to answer whatever those hurdles are and to remove them. But if we cannot, we will find somebody in this community that can remove those hurdles for you so that you can go to Alaska, so that you can go to the Caribbean, so that you can go to Europe. That's why we're here. That's why this community is here, to help each other. Sometimes we need that encouragement. Hey, you can do this. You got this. But then what is so cool, Alex, is when we help each other do this, then we get to live through each other. Just like we're
Yeah.
going to live through you next week in Alaska. If you and I help someone take off in Europe, we've planned everything for them. Now, okay, I want to see your pictures. I want to see where you went and ate. I want to see your ports of call. and then they come back and they say, yeah, I'm going to do it. That's what happened to us. We did it last year, last May. Now we're going back again in July. You can do this. If you've thought about doing something different, whether it's Alaska, whether it's Europe, whether it is Asia, start planning right now to do it. There's people and resources here to help you. And Alex, people have told both of us kind of the same thing over the years, and I know it's encouraged me. It's probably encouraged you to step out on the edge, step
Yeah.
out and cruise solo. If you're not going with anyone, that's okay. Step out and do it. I know you have those experiences as well.
Oh yeah, and I was just thinking, living outside of your comfort zone when it comes to traveling can be the biggest blessing for you. I I was recently, a couple of years ago married and then, went through a divorce, and I still wanted to cruise. And so I took that leap of faith and I went on a solo cruise. And man, there's something so special about cruising solo. Yeah, there are times when you're sitting at dinner by yourself and you look up and you see families and all of that, and you're like, man, I wish I had someone to talk to. But the cool thing about cruising
Yeah,
solo is you can request a table with other people. You don't have
yeah,
to sit by yourself. But that was definitely one of those moments where this might make or break my cruising addiction, and I loved cruising solo. And speaking of Europe, that's definitely one of the things I want to accomplish in 2025. Definitely not something I'm going to get to do this
yeah,
year, but I think in 2025, I don't know if I want it to be a solo cruise, because I sure would like to experience that with somebody else. Derek, maybe you and I can film
yeah.
an episode in Europe. Who knows, on a cruise.
Let's do it.
Um, but
Let's do it.
what I'm really excited about is Carnival's newest Excel class ship. Nobody knows the name of it.
Oh,
Nobody knows where it's going to cruise out of, but we all know it's going to be built over there. And guess what? I
that's right.
sure hope that they have a cruise, a trans-Pacific or transatlantic.
Transatlantic. Oh
Um,
man.
I was I know that you were scheduled on the transatlantic Jubilee cruise, right? That they canceled.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
I've 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 never experienced it, but I will for sure on this next Excel class ship. Cannot wait to experience
That's
that.
right. It'll be fun to see if they have one. Of course, if they do, Alex and I will be beating down the walls to make things happen where we can be there.
Yeah.
And additionally, we've already got, we put something when this announcement was made. We said, hey, if you're interested in this cruise, we don't know the name, we don't know where she's sailing from, we don't know if she's going to do long or short cruises.
We just know that she floats.
An X, yeah, an XL class ship will do short cruises. Mark my words. In 2027, one of them, I think it'll be Mardi Gras, but
Yeah.
one of them will. Maybe celebration. Maybe they put the new ship in Miami and then the celebration does short cruises,
Yeah.
like the new Utopia seas. But we're going to be on that inaugural sailing, and we have a lot of cabins, or a lot of people that have already said, "Hey, I don't know where she's selling from, what the price is. Here's my name. Here's my phone number. I'm going on that new ship." So let us know if you want to go. We would love to go with you and experience it. But Alex, what a show! Really, I think one thing, listening to you and your adventures and trying to form my own mindset and concept, we talk about where are we going. I think really the theme of this is to ask that question to yourself. Those of you who are watching and listening, where do I want to go?
Yep.
And answer that question, whatever it is. And it may be the Caribbean, time after time again. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it is somewhere if your mind says, you know what, I'd really like to go to Greece. I've heard it's beautiful in Greece. Don't just shut that down because you don't think you can go. Or if it's Alaska, you think, man, I've never been on the West Coast. I've never flown out west. I don't know if I could do it. If you want to do it, you can do it. Pricing is comparable, and you just need some help to get there. And Alex and I are here to help you do just that. I'm excited. I'm excited to see all your experiences next week.
Oh, I can't wait. And cruising with somebody that's their first experience cruising and cruising in Alaska. I can't wait for the next episode to just kind of give you the lowdown of how it went.
Oh, that is crazy. Is it safe to say that maybe next Monday you'll be maybe on the podcast? You'll be in Alaska or on the Luminosa. Is that a possibility?
100%. I know we have to film and record, and so yeah, I just maybe I need to find a nice, cool place on the ship that has a nice background. And
Oh man.
I've already been told, Tyler, the cruise director. I don't think it's going to happen on this particular cruise, but he's become a really, really good friend of mine. He's already confirmed that he would love to be on the podcast and help support us a little bit. So we need to start thinking
Awesome.
of some questions. Tyler, your cruise director,
That's,
he's definitely on my top three favorite cruise directors of all time.
wow. That's cool. Just another reason to go to Alaska, right?
Yep, yep. Get to hang out
It
with your
is.
cruise friends.
Well, we have that's right. We have discussed so many different places to go, and I know that your wheels are probably turning right now. And we would like, whether you're on Facebook or you're watching us on YouTube, to take a second and to share that place that you would like to go. Where is your destination? What is on your bucket list? It's going to be interesting to see. I think we're going to see a little bit of everything. I think we're going to see people say Alaska's where to go. I think people love the Caribbean, of course. I think people say I dream to go to, and you can fill in the blank of wherever that is. But I can't wait to see what some of these responses are. It's going to be neat.
That's right. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like our Facebook page. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Derek. I think we're at 95 subscribers within just 3 or 4 days. So I think we're growing. We're going to become an awesome big community, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the Cruisers podcast.
That's right. This is the Cruisers Podcast. If we can ever help you in your cruising adventures and you have questions, just ask them. We will reach out to you and we will give our best response. If we don't know something, we will look it up. We want this to be engaging, and you guys are certainly engaging. We appreciate that so much. Until next week, Alex, Alaska, I'm going to have to turn down my thermostat here in Arkansas to match what you're going to have. I can't wait to see those experiences, to catch up next week in Alaska right here on the Cruisers Podcast. Until then, I am Derek.
And I'm Alex.
And we will see you next week on the Cruisers Podcast.
See ya.